Today we're going to be looking at the GTX 750 Ti. Not this one exactly, but one pretty much like it. This is the OC Storm Edition from Palette. There we go. It is slightly faster than normal 750 Ti. No additional power required. These can be had off eBay for as little as, well, around £30, which is an absolute bargain when you consider what these little cards can do. This is only 2GB of VRAM, so that might be an issue in modern games, but we'll have a look. We are actually going to be using this version, which is the slowest 750 Ti I have. Once again, it's from Palette and it's only 2GB in VRAM, but this is why I'll be using this one, because it's the worst case scenario for the 750 Ti. So if this card can do it, you can pretty much rest assured that any 750 Ti can do it, and probably better. So let's put this into a machine and have a look. We'll be using an AM4 board today with 16GB of RAM. It's a AMD Ryzen 3 4350G Pro. So it is an APU. It is only £100 CPU, and it is a Zen 2, the Zen 2 generation. So let's just pop this in here very quickly. Bit of force. There we go, nice and secure. Pop one screw in. There we go. There we go. And that's all we really need. No power connectors required or anything like that. So let's hook this up to the capture PC and let's see what it can do. Let's start by running some benchmarks. We get 1402 in Time Spy, 4201 in Firestrike, 15364 in Night Raid, and in the newest benchmark, Wildlife, we get 7513. So all round not the best scores, but it is a rather old card now, and it was always mid-range in the first place. So let's move on and have a look at some games then. First up, we have one of my favourite games at the moment, which is Baldur's Gate 3. This is running on Ultra. It doesn't quite hit even the 30 FPS mark on Ultra. It's very almost slideshow at times. This is the Goblin Camp, so it is one of the more harder to run sections of the game. Inside you get better FPS in general, but if you want to run this game, you're going to have to run it on the lowest setting. Maybe with slightly higher textures, but you're going to have to run it on the lowest setting.
We're doing the Absolute's work. State your business now.
The mark glows, but you feel nothing in response.
This ale tastes like hobgoblin spit. Who's been puking in the barrel?
No go inside. Inside boring.
Oi! Ain't no party in here. We're doing the Absolute's work. State your business now.
The mark glows, but you feel nothing in response.
Another game that I've been having quite a lot of fun playing at the moment is Rogue Company. This runs very well on this machine. This on the Ultra settings, and you're getting above 60 FPS a lot of the time, with an average of above 60 FPS. It's a free-to-play game, well worth playing if you've got this card. It's they're very quick-paced games, and it's a lot of fun, really.
We have armed the bomb. Protect it. 45 seconds remaining.
Didn't expect that, did you?
Here we have Dead by Daylight. This does not run very well on this card at all at 1080p. This is on Ultra, and as you can see, it's below 30 FPS all the time, with an average of about 24 FPS. Putting it on the lowest setting, you get roughly, well, not much better, you get above 30, but it's only about 35 FPS. So you'd have to run this on a lower resolution or use the in-game slider to use a lower internal resolution. Here we have Mutant Year Zero. This doesn't run great on this card either. If you put it onto the one before the lowest setting, you can get an average of 37 FPS ish. For a turn-based game, that's fine, but it would be nice to be able to run it at a smooth 60 FPS. If you put it on the lowest setting, or put it to 720p, you get a much smoother frame rate, but it's up to you really at that point. But it is certainly playable for a turn-based game.
Not today, dickwipe.
Here we have Spellbreak, a magic-based battle royale game, free to play on the Epic Store at the moment. This runs really well on this card. This is on the ultra setting, and you can see it only gets about 35 FPS average. But if you drop it down to high, or even the lowest settings, on high you get about 55 average, and on the lowest setting you can get into the, well, to the low hundreds, like 110, 120 FPS, so it's perfectly playable on this card. You just might have to tweak the settings just a little bit. Next we have Apex Legends. This game struggles a little bit with this card, mainly because of the lack of VRAM. On the highest settings with the lowest textures, or very low textures, it doesn't look great, and the FPS is about the 40s, low 40s, high 30s, which is just about playable. But if you knock the settings down a little bit, in fact if you go to the lowest setting, you can get a perfectly playable frame rate, which is what you want with this. Higher the frame rate, better chance you have of winning. And with this card and this exact game, that's exactly what happens. I might die right at the final point, but the team still wins.
Already on my mark, firing for effect. Taking damage. You are the Apex Champions.
Since I'm showing Battle Royale games, of course I'm going to have to check if Fortnite runs. If not, someone's going to ask anyway. Here it is on Epic details. It's not great. You're getting an average around 26 FPS and not a lot going on here. You're going to have to knock the settings down quite a bit to get a 60 FPS experience. Here we have Ubisoft's Far Cry 5. Ubisoft are not known for their optimization, and it is clear as day here. This is the lowest settings with no anti-aliasing, so it doesn't look very good at all. I mean, you could probably put AA on and it would improve it a little bit, but we're getting an average about 34 FPS in this slow stage at the start of the game. So console experience all round. You might be able to get higher FPS if you went to 720p, but let's be honest, most gaming these days is 1080p, so you should get that if you can. But this game is not really playable unless you don't mind the 30 FPS.
Oh, Marshal. When we do this, we do it my way. Quietly. Calmly. You got it? Fine. Hudson on the door. Watch our backs. Don't let any of these people get in. Rookie? On me. And you? Just try not to do anything stupid.
Relax, Sheriff. You're about to get your name in the paper. You'll be fine.
Here we have Rocket League that's recently gone free to play. On the highest settings at 1080p, this card can easily run this game with an average of above 80 FPS. So if you got this card, grab this game. It's nice and free at the moment, so have a bit of fun. Next we have Blizzard's Overwatch. This is running on ultra details, not epic details, and we are getting an easy above 60 FPS experience all the time. There's the odd dip just below, but got an average of 75 FPS, so perfectly playable on this card. So that's another fun game you can get and play on this kind of system.
I'm too young to die.
No one can hide from my sight.
Here we have Larian's Divinity 2, set on Ultra. This struggles with this card on Ultra. You get an average of about 41 FPS, which is perfectly playable for this type of game. Certainly better performance than we saw in Baldur's Gate 3. I mean, it is an old game, so that's expected. But perfectly playable. If you want a smooth 60 FPS, you can knock it down to having medium and you will get exactly that, and that's perfectly playable. Last we have Vermintide 2 running on Extreme. This is getting an average of about 26 FPS. This is just the opening sequence where you're carried around in a cage. The game can get a bit busy, so it's not really playable on its highest setting. But I didn't have time to check other settings for this game, but I suspect, having played it, that if you run it on medium, you should get easily low 40s without a problem.
Worthless minions! Saving lives! Only set back. We medicate it, fix it, improve it. Better.
Bah, more sniveling. I have an endless horde of rock-lost waiting, ravenous for slaughter.
So to conclude this video, this £30 graphics card, 750 Ti, is still just about usable in 2020. Some more modern games are going to struggle. You have to run on the very lowest setting, but at least they are playable. Obviously some games are going to struggle, but it's nice to see games like Rogue Company and Spellbreak, which have been recently released, do run perfectly well on this card. It would be nice to see more optimization like that, because while cards are getting faster, they're also consuming more power. So I would like to see a bit more optimization to allow cards like this to continue having a longer and more useful life going forward. So is it worth picking this up though? It's hard to say. I mean, it costs about £30–40 to get. So if that's your budget, it's certainly a good card to get. If you can spring for something like a GTX 960 or an RX 580, you'd be much better. I mean, it comes in different formats. You've got the low profile version and like overclock versions, but I would certainly buy it if I was looking for a low power build that didn't cost a fortune. But I can see why a lot of people won't like this card anymore. But if you've got the money, GTX 960. If you haven't, get this card. It's certainly better off than buying something new like a GTX 1030, which costs twice the price of this and performs slightly worse. So that's all I have to say for it today. If you like this video, hit the like button below, leave a comment, and of course subscribe. I'm still trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. It's very difficult, so every subscriber does help. So thanks again, and hope to see you next time, and that's where we'll leave it for today. So hope you have a good one, and goodbye.